Grumble, grumble. Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I am coming back at you with some more Shadows of Brimstone related content. This time I'm basically going to be doing a deep dive into all of the various promo slash extra hero classes that are available for the game. And I'm going to be starting out with the Jargono native, who I actually happen to be playing right now and having a great time with. Basically, I just was actually looking for some content related to the native and couldn't find hardly anything. And so I realized, hey, there's like nothing out here about these characters. I should probably remedy that. So let's hop right in. So, you know, your character pack is going to come with, kind of a small flyer with a quick breakdown of your character, the larger hero sheet, which I really wish they would include in the core boxes as well as a separate sheet instead of it being in the rule book, because it's harder to share that out to people when it's in here, especially if you have multiple people playing the same character or the same class, whatever. And then you've got your upgrade chart on the back. And then you've got a set of starting cards and your hero card and your mini, and sometimes there are tokens and stuff associated to them. I don't recall if this guy actually came with the swamp fungus tokens, but we'll talk about those here. So, legend has it that the ancestors of the tribal native humans of Jargono were originally from Earth, finding their way through an ancient portal and becoming trapped on the other side. Struggling to survive for millennia against aggressive tribes of serpent men and all manner of vicious and primal creatures of the swamp, these native hunters of Jargono have become renowned for being perhaps the deadliest and fiercest warriors from any world. Awesome. Jargono Native is a new hero class that can be added to your games of Shadow of Brimstone. He is a savage and primitive hunter from the murky swamp world of Jargono. Still bearing his tribal weapons and gladiatorial combat skills learned in the savage prehistoric lands of his home, the Jargono native is an expert tracker, hunter, and hand-to-hand fighter. Though he does not understand written language or technology, his keen senses and combat reflexes make him a fierce addition to any posse. Here you've got a rule note. Swamp fungus. When creating a new Jargono native hero, you may choose your starting sidebag token from any of the normal options, bandages, whiskey, or dynamite, or you may instead choose to start with a swamp fungus token. Swamp fungus discard to heal D6 health and D6 sanity. So swamp fungus is super powerful, and you would always choose that basically if you were starting with him, unless you wanted some dynamite. And then he comes with his own set of personal items, which is cool because they're themed specifically for the swamps of Jargono. This is something that they do with a number of the kind of otherworld hero classes, and it's cool every time because they have unique starting abilities that nobody else does. So playing as a Jargono native. As a predominantly hand-to-hand class, the Jargono tribal native is a fearsome warrior that specializes in close quarters, movement, and combat. Their hunter's reflexes give them an advantage when fighting off an ambush or a pack of beasts, while their primitive nature prevents them from using technology, guns, or reading books. As an otherworld native of Jargono, they do not begin with a normal personal item, but rather a Jargono personal item. They also have the option to start their adventure with a swamp fungus token. And you've got basically 3 starting upgrade choices as per usual. You can be a pit fighter who carries a dark stone blade and a tribal shield and regains grit by engaging the enemy up close and uses the shield to deflect incoming hits. You can be the serpent slayer, having honed their skills in battle with the vicious serpent men. This native is immune to poison and fights with a pair of darkstone daggers. Fast and deadly, the serpent slayer has foregone defense in favor of all-out ferocity. or you can be the treetop hunter. Softening up his enemies from a distance before closing in for the kill, the treetop hunter has become quite effective at using a Jargono bow, often able to dispatch multiple enemies in rapid succession with the powerful but primitive weapon. So let's take a look at the cards for those 3 starting upgrades. Okay. So first of all, you've got Pit Fighter. At the start of your activation, adjacent to 1 or more enemies, recover a grit on the d6 roll of 5+. Also, once per turn, while you have a shield equipped, you may force 1 enemy hit just rolled against you to be re-rolled. And the shield also gives you armor 5+. So it's of a benefit even beyond just the ability there. Next up, you've got the Serpent Slayer. You are +1 move and may move through other models. You are also immune to poison markers, which is really cool. And he's got the extra starting gear, the Darkstone Daggers, which replace the Tribal Shield and the Darkstone Blade. So by default, he starts with the Tribal Shield and the Darkstone Blade. If you take this, he loses both of those. And your Darkstone Blade, you can see right here, or the Darkstone Daggers, I should say, +2 combat, +1 initiative. So pretty powerful. He starts with 4 combat if you take that upgrade. And then you've got the Treetop Hunter, double shot bow. Once per turn, when you kill an enemy with a bow, you gain +1 shot with that bow. And that replaces the Tribal Shield. So, you know, because he's ranged, he doesn't have as much of a need for the shields, and so he doesn't bring it with him. And the bow, starting item, gives you range 7, shots 1, crits on 5s or 6s, and uses the D8 for damage. So pretty powerful. So you can see you've got a lot of really cool options with this guy. In terms of his other starting gear, his kind of default starting gear is the Darkstone Blade. Your combat hits are critical hits on the rolls of 5 or 6 instead of only on 6. Very powerful. And then, as we talked about, the Tribal Shield gives you armor 5+. Next up, let's take a look at the personal items. Okay. And I believe I have one more from over on the side here. Yep. Okay, so the Raptor Tooth Necklace, +1 cunning. Once per turn, you may allow a single one of your hits to ignore a target's tough, endurance, or armor ability. That's really cool. The Serpent Skin Loincloth. Oh my god. +1 agility. Once per turn, you may re-roll a single defense or armor roll. The Heritage Charm, +1 luck, +1 spirit. Once per turn, when you pass a skill test, you may heal D3 wounds, sanity, any mix. Wow, that's pretty great. The Relic Stone, +1 lore. Once per turn, may re-roll a single willpower roll. And the Tribal Tattoos, +1 strength. You always get defense rolls even against hits that would normally ignore defense. That's actually really powerful. He comes with a rule reference card, just tells you how the swamp fungus works and about his personal item. And then we've got his character card. So he is Otherworld, Jargono, and Tribal. Agility 4, Cunning 2, Spirit 3, Strength 3, Lore 1, Luck 2. This is great. I really love this because he can't read, so obviously his lore level would be low. Initiative 4, which is pretty fast to start with, and if you, depending on which upgrades you take, you know, that goes up. He's got Hunter Reflexes. He's +1 damage on all attacks against beast enemies, and he also gets +2 initiative in the first turn of an ambush attack, which is really awesome. So he's hard to ambush because he's fast by default. He's primitive, so he can't use guns, books, or tech items. And he's an Otherworld native of Jargono. He starts with the Swamps of Jargono personal item. We talked about that. But also, he's +3 lore while he's in the swamps of Jargono, so he knows the swamps very well. And then you see he's got the tribal shield and the Darkstone blade as his starting item. Standard 2 for combat and max grit. Hits on 5+ with range, unless you take the tribal hunter, treetop hunter, which gives him 4+. His melee hits on 4+. He's got 11 health, insanity, and 4s on saves for both of those. So he's pretty well rounded. And then here you can see the miniature. This is the plastic miniature. So this is kind of annoying because I bought all these guys before they put out the plastic sets. And so I had to rebuy them to get the plastic minis because the original minis were just fucking abominable resin garbage. This one is quite cool, and I'm very happy with how he looks. And you do get the option, you can set him up with the bow or the Darkstone daggers, I believe, instead, if you want to customize his look. And then we've got his upgrade chart. So he's got 4 trees: Jargono, Gladiator, Ferocity, and Hunting and Tracking. So the Jargono tree, and I'll just point out the abilities that are particularly interesting. Fungus Grower is really interesting because he gets a Swamp Fungus side bag token at the start of each adventure. And again, those are really powerful. That's the equivalent of a bandage and a whiskey, which would cost you 100 gold. So those are pretty powerful. Tribal Warrior, you are +2 health for each tribal item you have, max of 10. So you're going to have your personal item, which I assume these are all marked as tribal. They're actually not. Oh, that's interesting. You're going to have your weapons at any rate. These aren't either. What the hell? Gear, Jargono, Darkstone, hand weapon. That's really weird. Well, maybe that's not as powerful as I thought it was. Interesting. Anyways, this could be really powerful if you're playing like I am. I'm playing the Valley of the Serpent Kings right now, and I imagine that there are some tribal items in that set, and so getting +2 health for each one, you could increase your health by 10, which is just insane, and it gives you +1 strength. And then Ancestor's Favor is particularly insane. Whenever you kill a large or bigger enemy, you may move the darkness back 1 space in the depth track, and it doesn't trigger the special spaces moved back through. This is ludicrously powerful. Like, this could save an entire game, basically. If you're deep into the darkness track and you're fighting, you're in the boss room and you get a couple of kills on the big boys, which you tend to face in those boss rooms, you're pushing that darkness back, and man, that seems like a must-have to me. Shield Bash. Under the Gladiator tree, while you have a shield equipped, you are +1 combat, and you get +1 max grit. That's very nice. And then Shield Charge is really cool. Use 1 grit. While you have a shield equipped to move through other models this turn, each model moved through takes 2 wounds, ignoring defense. So that's awesome. He's like barreling through. And then melee to hit 3+, which is very, very nice. Under the Ferocity tree, jumping attack is really cool. Once per fight, you may spend unused movement points from your move to add damage to one of your combat hits. Every 2 move equals +1 damage. So if you like, let's say you have 6, you have +2 move, and you roll a 6. I don't play with the to roll rules. I play with the set movement of 4, but this would actually be more powerful if you were rolling to roll, because like let's say you roll a 6, you have an extra +2 move from items, all of a sudden that's 8 damage, 8 move that maybe you don't need, you turn that into extra +4 damage. Like, that's insane. Mighty Swing gives him +1 combat and +1 strength. And to Fury of Jargono, once per fight, use 2 grit to make an extra attack this activation and +2 max grit. And then the Hunting and Tracking, which is the bow track, basically. Once per adventure, use 1 grit to switch attack or ambush on an exploration token into 2 times encounters instead. The rest of the token remains the same. This is also insanely powerful. Like, that's just really powerful. Because it's these two abilities are letting you manipulate events that are typically not able to be manipulated. So, really cool. Quick Shot gives you +1 shot to any bow you're using and +1 initiative and +1 agility. Wow. Deep Cuts, you may double the endurance value of any enemy while attacking it. So if you're facing one of those real hard asses that you just cannot do damage on, you can double the amount of damage you can get through with the Deep Cuts ability. And then Master of the Hunt gives you +2 combat and +2 shots with any bow you're using while there are 1 or more extra large or bigger enemies on the board. So if you're facing the big boss, he goes ape shit, basically. +2 shots on the bow. If you sync that with Quick Shot, that's +3 shots. Sync that with Treetop Hunter double shot. When you kill an enemy with a bow, you gain +1 shot with that bow. I mean, it's crazy. He can go off with that bow. So, yeah, that's the Jargono native. So, I really like him. Like I said, I'm playing him right now. I'm having a great time with him. And he is available now at retail. So, you can get the plastic mini and everything and all the cards and everything, I think, for, you know, that usually retails for like $16, $17 on a site like Miniature Market or something like that. And he's a pretty cool character and pretty unique too. Like I said, he has some really interesting, unique abilities. And again, the miniature is very cool. So, hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about the Jargono native in the comments, and I will talk to you later.